Good evening. My name is Dr. Kanima Odon, and I'm the program lead and also creator. And I'm also a director for Africa Strategic Partnerships at Lancaster University. So, what I want to do this evening, very briefly, in the next 30 minutes or so, is to give an overview of what the specialized and customized international career coaching program for optometrists in Nigeria and most of Africa is fundamentally about. And today I will speak in brief terms, obviously using Nigeria as the pilot for this special program. And for those who, in some sense, have already registered for it, you kind of get a clearer idea of what the program is really about. And for those who are still thinking about registering but not quite sure what it's about, then you have a clear idea and a clear context of what to expect on this program. Um, Optometry as a course is not a cheap course. For the average university in most African countries, it takes between 5 and sometimes 7 years to do an optometry course. Now, if you imagine that I study zoology as a course, which is the study of animals, you can imagine how many animals there are in the animal kingdom, yeah? But it took me 4 years to finish a bachelor's degree in zoology. But the study of the human eye, just one part of the human body, is taking people 5 to 6 years. It just shows you the level of complexity, the level of interconnectivity involved in the study and the care of the eye. A very pretty sensitive part of the human body. And so, as far as I'm concerned, for you to spend 5, 6, or even 7 years studying one part of the human body, you are truly, hear my word, you are truly an expert in this space. Are you following me? I know, for example, that when you do a bachelor's degree, what you are doing is you are learning a lot of many things. And you move on to a master's degree, you're beginning to learn a bit more about specific things. You're becoming a master of the art, a master of practice, a master of specific area of interest and focus. By the time you now move towards a PhD, you're even getting more specialized, learning a lot more about smaller things. Are you following me? And at the end of the day, if you progress in education towards becoming a professor, you have become the top or the Gordon of that area of specialty to the point where you can profess in it, and what you say in a high level actually stands, carries impact, carries weight, and can change the game. You're fundamentally a thought leader in that area of specialization. That's what it is. So as far as I'm concerned, an optometrist is almost like a professor in eye studies, the understanding of the eye, the care of the eye, the health of the eye. That's very, very vital, very, very powerful. Now, but I'll begin by giving some statistics. Me kind of give a sense of why this is very important. I studied zoology, and I thought I was going to work in the zoo. I remember a true story where in my first year as a zoologist, I remember I went to my lecturer at university to go and request for the registration of my course. And I remember going and said, I want to register for a course. And then the course code used to be like Zoology 101, Zoology 102. And most people would, so most of the students actually shorten the course code to Zoo 101 or Zoo 102. And in that, it means therefore that because of that, I walk into my lecturer's office and I said, can I register for my course? And he says, what's your course code? And I say, it's Zoo 101. And I remember him asking me, so what's your cage number? So now I'm thinking, my goodness, I'm in my first year and I've been told my cage number. Do I have hope? Okay. Then I remember in my second year, I was stood in the corridor of my course, of my department, and I overheard two final year students in zoology having a conversation. And the one person asked the other person, they said, as a zoologist, since you're about to graduate, where do we work? And the other guy said, you work in the zoo. And then somebody said, the other person said, so how many zoos are there in Nigeria? And the guy said, well, I know of only one, but I heard that it's quite poor because even the lion is hungry. Now remember, these are final year students of a university who have studied this course zoology, and I'm just in my year one. And I'm thinking, if they have no idea what they will do at the end of their studies, then I'm in trouble. Anyway, let's progress to optometry. Okay, some statistics. Do you realize that there's massive challenges in optometry in Nigeria. The same case in most African countries. There is infrastructure deficiency. There is a disconnect between urban and rural area provision of healthcare. There's a lack of research and development to kind of mainstream optometry in healthcare. No wonder that 80% of the optometrists who work in Nigeria, for example, work in the private sector because there is obviously higher pay, and those who work in the public sector struggle. They have massive clientele and customers and people who have issues with their eye, but for a very, very minimal pay. They're stretched, is what the case is. Now, according to WHO, the World Health Organization, the standard is for every one optometrist, there should be 50,000 people that should be taken care of. That is a standard ratio of care. One optometrist for 50,000 people. In Nigeria, according to statistics, it's one optometrist for over 70,000 people. Now, do you realize that there are about 14,000, follow me, registered optometrists in the UK? And the UK has a population of about 60 million people. So 60 million people have been taken care by 14,000 registered optometrists. In contrast to Nigeria, it's about 220 million people. That is obviously going by the different statistics. Some say it's a lot more. But there is between 4,000 and 7,000 registered optometrists in Nigeria. Now, isn't that a stretch? Okay. Now, interestingly, I'm only focused on Nigeria, but guess what? I travel a lot in my job, and as I travel from different countries in Africa, across different countries, as bad as this data or statistics sound in Nigeria, is actually better than several African countries. Can you imagine? Isn't that a Pan-African, a continental crisis or challenge? Okay, now that's on one level. The other level is when I meet different people and they study optometry, and I'm not being generalistic, so this is not case for everybody. But most of my friends that I've spoken to who studied optometry, who are practicing optometrists, when I ask them, did you want to study optometry when you went to university? Many of them told me, well, guess what? Sorry, want to study medicine. But because they couldn't get into medicine, they were offered optometry. Isn't that even a bigger challenge? Now, so my perspective view, which this course would focus on, is the fact that there seems to be a lot less optometrists for a bigger market. So why are optometrists struggling with their pay, struggling with opportunities, struggling with connectivity, struggling with solution provision, even though there is a lot less optometrists per market space? That's what the course would explore. And there are fundamental premises that actually forms the backdrop for why this is important and why anybody who takes this course as optometrist, there is almost a guarantee that your mindset will be shifted and transformed when you begin to see opportunities where you never considered there to be opportunities. That's the point. Now, in the structure of the program, there are four basic modules because the program is over 1 week, so over 4 weeks, so 1 month. What are the modules on the program? Is number one, understanding problems. So module one is a problem module. So how do you, in some sense, understand the problems that actually exist in the optometry sector, and how can you provide solutions to those problems, either through a product or through a service, through partnerships? So for example, I'll give some example. So do you realize there are AI-powered tools are now capable of analyzing images in the retina, in the cornea, and other high solutions with exceptional precision? These tools, by the way, can help detect conditions like diabetic retinopathy, age-related macular degeneration, AMD, and even glaucoma, very much early than ever before because it's a timely intervention. There are companies globally who are doing these precision interventions. But guess what? You can actually become a strategic partner to make these interventions as research-focused and research-driven products, make them available to the Nigerian market through a partnership. There are high-performing lenses and coatings with anti-reflection technology, scratch-resistant technology, coatings, tinted finishing that kind of prevents UV radiation. All these are available services and products in international space which optometrists in Nigeria can align themselves with only one singular item, become experts in those areas through partnerships or on their own. As a matter of fact, I think I was reading an article a few days ago, and a new study suggests that even injecting gold nanoparticles into the retina and stimulating those particles with lasers can restore partial vision in some patients. Can you imagine? The world is changing gradually. The point is, as an optometrist, are you just stuck in one position, or are you getting aligned with global changes through interconnectivity and internationalization? All this we'll explore during the course under problems. The partnership model. How do you build global partnerships? Starting with Africa, for example. How do you enhance your LinkedIn profiles to get known or get to know? Because you are doing amazing work in Nigeria, but who knows you are doing that? Do you realize that you can actually become a consultant in French-speaking African countries? And by the way, there are about 9 French-speaking African countries. As even though you are in Nigeria, increase your capacity for alternative revenue generation. It's possible, but unless you're able to explore these kind of partnerships, you will not grow. So it's a program designed to enhance your career in this space. That all this will be covered under partnership model. How do you build partnerships in Africa, across the continent, and also globally? Then the person model on week 3. The person model would focus on exploring your hobbies and your passion. Most of us are in optometry, doing optometry, practicing an optometrist. But do you want to become a thought leader? Is there something else you love doing, you enjoy doing? Is it writing a book, working in communities, public speaking, working with children with disabilities? There are a range of things you do that you classify as your hobby or a passion, which you're not doing right now because you're kind of distracted or with your hectic job as a practicing optometrist. And guess what? Research shows until you're able to align with your actual true passion and to combine them in some category or some level with your current job, you will not become a fully fulfilled professional. And so we'll focus on how might you align your passion with actually your job that you are being paid for. How can you generate profits from your passion? All this will cover under the person model. It's very, very powerful. And finally, the practice model. Under the practice model, we kind of explore things like exploring international funding. How many of us want to be able to apply and win funding through grantsmanship for big projects in Nigeria, for partnership projects with other African countries? You can win money. There is too much money for any functioning optometrist who is an expert in their field and have spent 6 years of your life studying this thing until you become an expert in it. There is too much money available for projects of this nature for you to be broke. It's actually true. So how do you understand grantsmanship? How do you find who gives money? How do you design how to apply for grant? How to form partnerships to apply for grants? This is very, very vital, and it will be covered under the practice model. There are many of us who are optometrists, but also want to kind of feature or grow your capacity, your expertise or careers in research and development, in R&D. How can you work with universities? How can you develop training programs? How can you build potential partnerships in this field? How can you write and publish papers? All this will be explored under the practice model. And finally, how can you generate alternative revenue as consultants, as entrepreneurs, even within optometry? How can you explore optopreneur? Well, that will be covered by the process model. It gives an overview of how comprehensive the program is. And by the way, it is not just a theoretical program. So it's designed under the pretense or the context of learning by doing. So that means every week you'll be given short videos to watch, and ultimately you will actually be given specific assignments and exercises, because by doing them, you learn and you grow. It's not a course where you now begin to practice the learnings of the course at the end of the course. No. It's a course where you begin to practice the learning while the course is ongoing. It's how it's designed. Are you following me? So at the end of the day, you are qualified to the point where you understand what you're supposed to do next. There's a strategic plan of how to enhance your career beyond just what you're doing right now, how to build your profile, how to increase partnerships, how to generate funding, how to win opportunities in funding, how to become partners and consultants in other domains or geographies. All this will be covered, and obviously you receive a UK CPD accredited certificate at the end of the course. So if you're too busy, understand that even though the course is flexible, you cannot learn the key dimensions of the program unless you actually sacrifice some time to actually deliver those exercises and those assignments. It's flexible, just watching videos is maybe 1 or 2 live sessions, but everything is giving you videos to watch at your convenience and then responding to the activities on a weekly basis. That's how the course is designed. So I'm hoping that at the end of today, you're able to get some kind of momentum to say, guess what? I don't want to continue the way my career is at the moment. I want a new level, a new height, a new dimension, a new progression. This course, the International Career Coaching Program for Optometries, offers you these opportunities at different layers. On that note, thank you very much and have a lovely evening.